Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know that I feel good. Doing things I never thought I could. Smiling in the mirror, I look good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Real Talk episode where real professionals have real conversations about real issues shaping our industry today. I am so excited for our two special guests, not one, but two super special show for you guys today. But before I go ahead and get to introducing them, a couple of quick housekeeping things. Hello, if this is your first time here, my name's Abby Welts. I'm the National Director here at Homes for Heroes. I am thrilled that you are joining us here today and spending your special resource of time. In order to maximize our time here together, I want to encourage you guys to be present, be here. We're going to spend the next 45 to 60 minutes here together. You're investing your most valuable resource, your time. So minimize those windows, put those phones away, right? Get out a notepad and pen if you're old school like me to jot down some notes, or your phone, if you can handle the distraction from it, and your notepad on there as well, and just be here with us. I want you guys to key in and listen to aha moments that you have, golden nuggets that you have, things that will play to your strengths and are things that you would actually enjoy implementing in your business to help you go out there and serve more clients at the end of the day and just be better and do better. So pick 1 to 3 things that you want to actually implement and walk away from and do that's going to help you grow. That is what this webinar series is all about, really implementing things to help us raise the bar in our industry. Today is going to be no different. Another quick housekeeping thing, use that chat feature. This is one of my favorite things about being on webinars with others. This is kind of like a little networking event too. Pop in the chat with where you're from. Let us know what's going on in your world. And again, share those aha moments and key takeaways because it will inspire others to do the same. Not only that, but it'll help you remember them as well when you walk away from this webinar too. Throw your questions in the chat as well. We've got people monitoring that all throughout the show. All right, if you're ready, I'm ready. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am so thrilled to introduce, again, not one, but two powerhouse mortgage professionals who are not only making waves in their market, but doing it with purpose and precision and as partners as well. They're a dynamic leading duo with a passion for service and results with over, hear this, 317 loans closed and over $90 million in volume in 2024 alone. They are walking proof that collaboration, consistency, and connection still reign supreme in our industry. They've built a reputation for being responsive and reliable and refreshingly real. And today they're pulling back the curtain to share how they're navigating today's mortgage landscape, creating success in a shifting market, and building strong partnerships with real estate professionals as well along the way. Let's go ahead and welcome Margo Krogulski and Marissa French to the show. Ladies, I am so excited to have you both here.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate
you so much, Abby.
Oh, well, I know you guys are busy, but this show I have been looking forward to for so long, especially getting to know you guys both professionally. It's been a while. I won't date any of us, so we're not going to share how long it's been, but it's been quite some time together. For those that haven't had the honor of knowing you as professionals, would you mind giving just a quick intro for yourselves? Marissa, I'm going to kick it to you first for that one.
Oh, Lord. So Margo and I, of course, are in the mortgage business, and we've been in the mortgage business for a little over 23 years. We are in Knoxville, Tennessee. This is where we started in the business. This is where we will finish the business and our journey. And hopefully, working to build something that's lasting beyond Margo and I at one point when we retire. We love what we do, super passionate about what we do, and we have an amazing team. We've enjoyed immensely being a part of Homes for Heroes. We found purpose and being affiliated with Homes for Heroes. It's been probably one of the most rewarding things that Margo and I have attached ourselves to, because just mortgages alone, you're touching people's lives on a daily basis, and you're closing on something that's so important to them. But when you have the opportunity to give back to others that serve your community, it's just put a lot of purpose in who we are. We'll never go without it. That's for sure. So
Mm,
that's a little bit about us.
I love that. I love that. How did you guys come together as a team? Did you start out together? Did you grow up together? Like, how did you guys come together? And what's that secret sauce in that? You guys, you'll see it throughout the show, you guys. You have such a strong synergy and energy together that it's helped you build something truly magnificent. So, how'd you guys come together and what's your secret sauce?
Go ahead, Margo.
Okay. Um, so Marissa and I have both lived here in Knoxville, Tennessee for what it seems like forever. I went to University of Tennessee, graduated, and never looked back, found my home in Knoxville. Bought my first house literally across the street from Marissa's family. We were neighbors for a while, hung out, got to know each other just as friends. And then as I was in graduate school, she had entered the mortgage business and had become increasingly busy during those years, and needed help. So I just kind of took my career path in that way and hopped on board with that and learned very quickly the mortgage business. Back when Marissa and I started, we were very, and we still are incredibly hands-on, but talking application to closing, like we did it all from start to finish. We learned it very, very quickly back in those days, in 2002 and three. The market was very different than it is now. And the setup of, lenders was very different. And that's when we had a lot of like B paper and C paper, and we had a ton of brokered products, and it was just a totally different atmosphere. And we learned by jumping in head first. And we were the young girls in the office with like all the old school guys that have been doing it forever. And we kind of just made our own way and like, I guess like reinvented how we wanted to be perceived in the industry. But we started working together. We decided that we had even more time on our hands, which was crazy, and got our real estate license years ago, back when you could do both. Started flipping houses together. Like we were out there painting, and I mean, just crazy, like 20 something year old girls running around. But over the years, of course, our lives have changed with like, children and spouses and just everything that, as you grow up and actually become an adult. Cause I feel like back then we started, like we were still kids, which is
Mm.
crazy to say. But we just kind of made the business into what we wanted it to be and did not conform into kind of what it was back then in those days. So I feel like that's been a fun thing of kind of just inventing our own path. And so we, opened our own branch and hired our own team and, ventured out on our own years ago, which, gave us a lot of opportunities and freedoms again into making this business into what we wanted it to be versus what it used to be.
Hmm. I have so many questions. I love that answer.
Thank you.
And I think both for like mortgage and real estate professionals, because I know we have a lot of both listening in right now, reinvention and truly being intentional with how you're perceived, or at the hot buzzword right now, your brand, right? Who you are and whatnot, they go hand in hand together. Did you guys come together and make an intentional choice of this is how we want to run our business, this is how we want to be perceived, or how did that reinvention happen?
I
That's
think that
tough. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that you learn by what you see that you don't want to be.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
I was just about to say that.
There you go. There you go. it just, when we got into the business, I feel like sometimes the best way that I could describe it to people was it was a wild, wild west, right? And I mean, when you go from like no doc loans to just the stated paper, the stated W-2 borrowers, I mean, all of that stuff Margo and I came from, right? And that's how we learned the mortgage business. And there's a different level of quality and class that you can find across the industry, even still yet today, right? And when you expect more out of yourself and you expect more for the clients and the families that you encounter, you refuse to be anything other than just high level for them, right? And that's every day we walk into this office, and I could have an exhausted day, right? Like we're all human, but like you step up every single day for the next person that you're on the phone with, because that next person matters and they're expecting that from you and they need that from you, right? But you have to then in turn build a team that delivers the exact same thing, right? I mean, Margo and I can't do everything on a daily basis for the volume that's coming through this office. So you're having to build a team and love on that team and nurture the team the same way that you're doing the clients. I'm so thankful for the team that stands beside us, because they deliver the same thing that Margo and I want for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, to answer that other part of your question, like I don't think that we had a time that we were like, okay, we're gonna put this plan on paper and we're gonna do it this way and that way, because we didn't know what we didn't know. Like we didn't know how to run a business. My background was in biology at the University of Tennessee. Like I have no clue, how that relates to this world. So for us to say we're gonna do it this way, it didn't happen that way. We just kind of trial and error figured out the way that work for us and that we were proud of, and that we wanted to be known and in the community as like helping people versus selling or versus any kind of negative connotations that did, I think back in those days, kind of come along with some parts of this business.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I love that you guys both said that. First of all, fellow bio major nerd here.
Yeah.
How it ends up relating to the world that you
Right.
live in as an adult is just mind-boggling to me, but we're not going to go down that train. But yes, I love that you said you learn through seeing what you don't want to be, because that's a very quick way to learn where you do want to go. And then I know, over the course of like you said 2003, so it's been 20 plus years now. It does take a little, like, you get off and get a detour a little bit and you got to snap back and come together like, nope, like that's not what we're going to do. We're just going to keep going. And you end up getting to the end result, which is where you guys are at. You mentioned the volume of business that you do. Before we jump into what your day to day and week looks like, I got to ask you about your team philosophy. Having a partnership for that long is a whole feat in and of itself. Let's be honest, most marriages don't even last that long. Business partnerships is a whole nother game changer to that. And then when you start bringing in other people on your team, that's a whole nother personal dynamic as well. Any tips for picking right teammates to come alongside you to help you build and grow what you like?
That's a tough one. You gotta have, I mean, first of all, Margo and I share something very similar in common, and that's work ethic, right? Like there's not one of us that pulls more weight than the other, right? Like we're both equally pulling weight, right? Margo and I are different. I think that we have strength. I have strengths and weaknesses, right? And same thing with Margo, and we just ping pong, but we fill each other's holes and gaps, right? We always have. If there is a moment where I feel like she's stressed, it's what can I do to take it away? Right? Like it's just always back and forth. It's never ever been anything different. But when you're hiring people, Margo and I have had bumps and bruises as a result of that, right? Like we have probably not hired somebody in the past that wasn't as like-minded, right? But I think that we can recognize it very, very, very quickly to, create a solution quickly. But I think that one of the things that's made us so thankful for where we are today is that a lot of the teammates that we have worked with for 15, 18 years, right? They are so committed to our team because we love them. We genuinely do. They're family to us, right? So you have to find people that have the same work ethic and like-minded attitude, right? To be able to gel together and to deliver what you need to be delivered to your clients.
We've moved people around. We've had hires that we hired them for something and we see very quickly that that's not the right fit, but they're going to excel at this. So, being flexible and being able to kind of move people around to highlight their strengths is important. And that's probably happened more than not. And then, of course, we've made really bad hires over the years, and that happens in every business. And, again, you recognize it really quickly and you fix it or you move on. And, it's the hard part. Like, having those hard conversations with our team and our staff over the years is not, that's one of the worst days ever, for them and you. We don't take those things lightly, because when we hire someone, like, we want them to be with us forever, and that's not reality in majority of, things, but, that's the mindset, and that's okay to have, to have a goal,
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Learn fast, act fast, right? And we call it right person, right seat. Keep the right people. If they're a part of your tribe and your culture and kind of what you want to do, just move them to a different seat if they're not excelling at that one, if you see their strengths are playing to it. So I love that you are all about all of that. It's awesome. All right, let's jump into the real stuff that we kind of just dove into the deep end here. Sorry, we're just going head first into it all. Tell me a little bit about what a typical day or week behind the scenes looks like to support the level of volume that you guys are doing to stay consistent. And we'll get into the market in a second too. But what's your day-to-day or week-to-week look like for you guys?
So consistency is key in our world, in our office. It is very important. We've got a brick and mortar office right here in Knoxville, and we have, the majority of our team works here in this building with us, but we do have flexibility with some people being remote. That's been new. That's been over the last 5 years. Obviously, when everybody decided with COVID that was a thing to work remote, we jumped on board, and we've, been a lot more flexible with that. And we have found ways that it makes sense and it works. But what we try to do is every Monday morning we have a team meeting, and it's an in-person team meeting. If there is a way to get to this office, which there 99% of the year is, then we have an in-person team meeting. I feel like that it helps with those people that are remote, just still have that in-touch feeling with like your other team members. It's just, there's something personal, obviously, about those interactions, and being in a conference room together, I think, is really, really important. So we go through our pipeline every single Monday morning, every single file, every detail. If there's any problems out there, we talk about it as a group, try to have a resolution. And the rest of the week is literally, a lot of desk time. Marissa and I are here most of the week. Like, we don't just have a day that we're like, oh, we'll see you tomorrow. Like, we just don't, we show up, like we show up consistently. And it's a lot of phone calls. We're on the phone a lot of the day, just talking to new clients, talking to their agents, trying to work out deals. We do have a networking group that we participate in. We've been in one forever and ever and ever. We alternate that on Thursdays, so, it sounds a lot more simple than I feel like our week ends up being. But our plan is typically, come in, work, react to whatever's happening in the world around you, and whatever phone calls are coming in and whatever emails come in, and, go from there.
I think that one of the things that I've seen over the years with different loan officers is the inconsistency of production as a result of not showing up and doing the things that need to be done to create activity. I've always said, plant seeds, plant seeds, plant seeds. Every day I come in here and I plant seeds that may not bloom for 10 more months or another year from now. But if you're constantly, Abby, I've got clients on my desk right this second. I looked at one this morning that had a 444 credit score. Okay. it happens. But that person deserves just as much respect as the person that has a 760 credit score, because that person knows people, talks to people, whatever. So if you're constantly doing the activities, like Margo said, and show up every single day, I may think that I have nothing going on. That's never really the case, but it might be a light day. It's not, because if I sit down and I start moving, everything starts just, there's activity everywhere to be seen,
Mhm.
everywhere. So in other words, don't go play golf.
I love it. But it is. I mean, you start building the planting the seeds is just creating momentum. And as long as you
It
keep the
is.
momentum going forward, right, you'll keep your pipeline full. I mean, we see it on both sides of the professions too. It's not just LOs, right? Real estate agents, if you're not doing the activities that are funnel filling, i.e., revenue generating, it's going to get depleted. You could
That's right.
be swamped right now with business, but 3 months from now, if you weren't doing those other activities,
Yep.
you're dry, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I totally get that. It can seem a little bit mundane, I would say at times, maybe. But if you look at it, and Marissa and Margo, I know you both do this, you just touched on it depending on like credit scores and all that kind of stuff. If you look at it from a humanistic side of
Yes.
things, this is a person
Right.
that wants to own a home and have
Yep.
the American dream and do all those things. And you can be the person that helps them get there when you start talking about it and keeping it real. It's no longer the metrics, the
Right.
numbers that we've got this in the pipeline, or, their number 276 person we've helped so far this year. Like you don't look at it like that. So it's a little bit more compelling and motivating, I think.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you could
we
see
have
Margo and
stories
I's,
after story after story of the classic, like I applied somewhere, I didn't get a phone call back, or I just got told no, I got told to call back in 6 months. Like I could tell you a million of those stories, and you're like, why? Like, why don't just you already take an extra time and just help the person? If it's not a yes now, it's going to be a yes in the future. If they're willing to work on it, and I mean, they're on the phone with you, so they're wanting to do something. But there's so many people out there that just they don't take that extra time to try to help to build that relationship. And it's not good. I mean, it's sad when I hear those stories coming from other people, that happens too. And it really makes me want to dig in even more and approve the client because, they've been so beat up coming, getting to me.
Yeah, definitely. Marissa, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
well, if you could see and just sometimes look at some of our files, I would tell you that 75 or 80% of them, right? Like we've been in this business for a long time, right? In our community. So it's just referrals, referrals, referrals. But Margo and I will get a file rolling and going. And we have what we call loan summary sheets. And it's the description of the whole entire scenario that's going on. Because again, it's not a rate and a sales price and whatever, like it's somebody's story, right? But like Margo and I will send these files to our processors, and it's like, love, 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 love this client. Like previous client, we did his cousin's client, we did his cousin's loan. I mean, it is just so much passion infusing into them because you can't, I mean, you fall in love with these people and what it's just, it's the most, we're servants and we do mortgages, right? We serve others every single day. We just happen to provide mortgages. That's really what it boils down to.
I love that. I love that. And what a great energy to infuse into your team along the way, too. It just happens to be a byproduct of how much love you pour into your clients as
Mhm.
well. I love that. All right, let's hop into, I'm going to jump into collaboration too, because this is a big conversation, especially with where we're at in the market right now, how how much challenges you guys went through as lenders a year and a half, 2 years ago, and now what the real estate industry is going through as well. I mean, a couple of years ago, you guys shrank by nearly a third in your industry size. I know we're looking ahead and forecasting, seeing that number shrink in the real estate industry. And through that, you strengthen your partnerships and your collaboration with your agent partners that you work with there as well. So collaboration is a really hot topic right now, I know for so many. What advice do you have for agents and lenders who really want to work together more effectively and create those win-win partnerships?
Go
Um,
for it, Margo.
I mean, I think that again, communication is the key to so many things, right? So if you're on the same page with your realtor partners, about clients' needs and wants is huge. Like, this world we're living in right now, it's so easy to text someone or to shoot an email and move on with your day. But spending a few minutes on the phone and like making sure that your agent understands exactly what that client needs on the mortgage side of things is really, really important. I mean, not just like what's their sales price going to be, but how much they need to sell or pay closing costs. I mean, those are details that are super important that sometimes aren't relayed very quickly on a short text, right? So, I mean, I try really hard to communicate with the agents on exactly what they need, right? Like, I mean, you can write a conventional contract, but you have a FHA buyer. So, I mean, I know that those are things that you think are just like duh, like that you should know that, but they aren't. So you've got to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Um, I think that having a united front with the lender and the realtor is really important, with the buyer, right? Because we have to be on the same page to make the buyer feel comfortable and happy and content. And we don't need to be saying one thing and then the realtor saying something else and the buyer is in the middle because they're already confused about the process and overwhelmed. So the last thing that they need are two different sides coming together in their ears. You have to be able to work together and, provide that united front. I think that availability is always very important in this business. I feel like on the banking lending side of things, like we feel like sometimes we have more like office hours and desk time. That's the typical 9 to 5. Marissa and I don't feel that way, but I think that that's a perception sometimes because when a bank closes at 5 o'clock, that doesn't mean that, the clients aren't still doing math and calculating payments and looking at houses online, and realtors are writing offers until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It just happens. And they're definitely working on the weekends. So for us to make ourselves available during those times that aren't your conventional office hours is really important too. And I think that we've done a really good job about that over the years. Like it's rare that at least one of us isn't available at some time of the day, or some point of the weekend, so that's always been a really big thing for us.
Mm.
I think another good thing too is collaborating with the right partners for the right reasons. Margo and I know a great friend that's been in the mortgage business for a long time, and she's very classy. Okay. And she's always been in the new construction world and always had builder referrals. And I mean, that is just her niche and what she's always done. But over the years, what's happened with these builders, and there's multiple of them, is she went from I'm a preferred lender to now there's multiple preferred lenders in those subdivisions. So now she feels like she's being referred. She said it to me the other day. She goes, I feel like I'm being referred and I'm no longer preferred, because how do you have so many preferred lenders, right? Because preferred is a status level of quality, right? I had a client yesterday that like we've been working with for months, right? And then they get online and they want to shop cheapest mortgage interest rate, whatever they're Googling, right? And you're gonna find just all kinds of junk out there, right? But like, what are the layers and the quality behind that? And the same thing goes for real estate agents and lender partners. It's like we've had real estate agents approach us before, and all they're really looking for at that point in time, like there's no background history of our relationship. And it's like, hey, will you do Zillow with me? Hey, will you do whatever with me? Like they're looking because they want us to provide marketing dollars or whatever. Like Margo and I choose and love to do business with people that are like-minded like us, right? So if we've got somebody that we know is in the trenches with us, we can make magic happen together for that client, and that client feels that synergy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I promise you, I don't love being the lender that's got the fifth phone call for a loan quote. Like that's not my favorite movement to make on a daily basis. My favorite movement is to intentionally be on the phone with the client, helping them with a true need that they have, because the real estate agent referred them to us because they trust us.
Right.
And that's the way we feel about real estate agents too.
Yeah. Right partners, right reasons. I love that tagline right there. For sure. I think that's so incredibly smart. And you do feel that when you're in lockstep with your partner, coming at it from the agent side on the other side of the world, with you guys, you can't get a deal done without a really strong lender, right? It can be not throwing anybody under the bus here, but if they're working with a national lender that you don't have that rapport or
Right.
relationship with, and it turns challenging, which there's always a challenge that pops
Always.
up in the deal, always something you've got to overcome with your client. It's a
Yep.
lot easier to navigate that with a strong lender partner that you've got rapport and a relationship and a history
Totally
with
agree.
than working with somebody new. And you learn
Totally
that
agree.
very quickly, for sure. Oh, so much. I'm going to be a little selfish here, not that I still practice real estate, but if you guys could dream up like your ideal real estate agent partner. I've got a brand new client I'm working with. They don't have a mortgage professional that they've been working with quite yet. We're gonna try and get into um, getting them pre-qualified or whatever you need to do in the very beginning. What information would you love that agent to come with? I'm thinking like back history, right? Have they What's their story? Are they married or are they divorced? Do you know if they've got something that could potentially be a challenge? Like if they could answer your questions right up front to like gift you knowledge about this client that you're potentially walking into a new conversation and introduction with, what would that information be that you wanted? That was a terrible way of asking that question,
No,
but
it's not. It's perfect. Because it's the same way with the applications that come in our office. Like Margo and I like the story to be told to us, right? So an application's kind of rather boring, really. I mean, it's 2 years employment, social, date of birth, whatever.
Right.
Like you can't look at it and know that person, right? Like, so when our girls at the office get on the phone with the client, it's not just an application that they're sending to Margo and I to review. It's the story, right? So like we have a client right this very second who's in the middle of a divorce. And like when I looked at her application, Abby, I could not make heads or tails of it. I mean, there's income coming in 10 different ways, sideways, social security, alimony, child support, like so much. And then a pending divorce and all kinds of things, you know. And I'm like, I can't make a move without knowing this lady. Like I cannot make a move. And it was a referral from a real estate agent, right? Had they probably picked up the phone and called and kind of gave me the background, then I could have gotten to the finish line faster with her. But it ended
Mhm.
up taking the client coming in and sitting down with me. And the minute she sat down with me, I completely understood all of the dots and could connect them, you
Mhm.
know? So an agent doing that is super helpful, super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Those personal details, like we get all the other stuff. It's basic information, but like those little caveats that are about a person's life, like, I mean, especially like the passing of someone close, you really hate to be that person that asks like those specific details. And then it's like a really emotional story. And then they, have a hard time talking about it. Like that happens a lot. And we're like, oh, if we would have just known not to ask that question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's real life, but those are just those little things. I think just the personal life story of people, anything that's a little different, just give us a heads up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it goes both ways too. And I know you guys do this with your agent partners too, if you're sending them or referring them their way. It's just a quick courtesy. Hey, here's what's going on, or here's what I know so
Yeah.
Yeah.
far to set each other up for success, for
Yeah.
sure. Just a quick 1 minute goes a long ways,
Yes, it does.
for sure. All right, let's hop into the market forecast because I know this is on everybody's minds, what's going on in the market right now. I also know, well, maybe I don't know. You guys don't possess a crystal ball to predict the future, do you?
No,
Wish I'd be moving to
no.
Vegas with Ruth. I'd be there.
Well, based on your experience, at least from where you're approaching the market, from kind of what trends are you seeing? What's catching your eye? What are you looking ahead to the rest of 2025? And are you taking any steps to prepare your team and your business for what you might see coming down the pike?
I have a feeling that it's getting ready to get very busy. I feel it. I see it. Margo and I are already discussing it, figuring out how we need to add more to the team into the force, right? Because I think the one thing that none of us want to get caught with First of all, I've never been negative, never, ever, ever in my life. And Margo and I have been through changes in the market, right? So everybody talks about 2008, 2008, 2008. In fact, my aunt was in the mortgage business for 30 years, got out of the business in 2008. So many people did, right? And Margo and I grew during that business. There's always business to be had, right? And I'm not going to be a victim of what the rate is, right? Because the need is still there, right? So Margo and I aren't living for the what's happening in 6 months from now. Margo and I are living for the today, right? And we are doing business today with what the rates are today and not telling anybody really to even hold back, because I had a client yesterday was like, is this really the time? Is this really the time to buy? Because he works for the airport. He thinks that his position is going to get eliminated because it's not essential and all of that sort of stuff. And I said, let me ask you a question. I said, if by chance that you got laid off, I said, are you a hustler? Like, are you going to go find a job immediately? And he goes, you know, I am. And I'm like, then what is your fear? Like, what is your fear, right? You're going to stay and rent for the rest of your life. If I lived my whole entire life for the what ifs of what was going to happen, I wouldn't have achieved anything that I have today, right? So I wish that we had a crystal ball, because clients call us all the time. It's like, I heard the rates went down. I'm like, yeah, not really.
Yeah.
There's improvement. I see improvement. I'm ready for massive improvement. I don't think we'll ever go back to where we were. That was wild. That was fun. And if you still have your 2 or 3% mortgage, I'm sure you're holding on to it for dear life. But there's just truly still a need for people to buy even in the 6% range. My very first house was 6.25. And I'm sure somebody listening probably says my very first house was 17%. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I think that it's just, you buy when it is time for you to buy, as long as affordability is there, right? You don't ever want to put somebody into a house that they cannot clearly afford. And that's one of the things that Margo and I always talk about is, how much have you budgeted for and how much can you afford? And I heard a client say the other day, they were like, it's a first time home buyer. Their new norm is $2,300 a month. I see it all the time on first time home buyers. My first mortgage was $800 a month. I thought I was going to foreclose, right? It's just the new norm.
Yeah, I would say if you're in the mortgage business and you have a team, evaluate who you have on your team and see what volume that you are running at right now and how much more that you can hold. Because, are we going to get busy? Or, of course, is the spring here now and people are already flooding in with applications? Absolutely. So I don't think that's going to slow down. Even if the rates don't take a severe drop, I think there's still a lot of activity there. I know that there is in our backyard. Refresh your skills on your refi, programs. Like, I know that we're not quite there for that refi boom that is potentially coming, but when it's there, you don't want to be behind the 8 ball. You want to be ready for it. Like, it's been a hot minute since I've done a FHA streamline, but is it coming? Absolutely. Do I need to remind myself those rules? Definitely. So just, I would say, be prepared for the things that are going to happen before they hit your desk.
Yeah, I love that because it brings both of your answers so well together in a time where you might have a little bit additional capacity, right? What are you doing with it? And I think it's wise to level up your skill set, right? Or your education. And I love what you said about assessing your team, actually knowing what your capacity is so that you can adjust and level up or down, throttle up or down as needed, and you're prepared for when it does change, because it will. It always does. Our industries are cyclical. It's just the nature of the business. I think that's really smart. Smart way to approach it and live today, not 12 months from now,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. I love that. Marissa, you touched on affordability. I know that's a hot topic right now with everything going on between rates and home prices and all that kind of stuff. And also making sure that you're not overextending your clients as well. Are there any, like, is it just the conversations that you get to have with your clients, or are there other creative solutions or programs or strategies that you've used to help get your clients into homes without overextending themselves?
That's tricky. Like, there are everybody has a different story. And I feel like that gone are the days that you walk in and you've got a client who works 9 to 5 and they're paid X amount of dollars for 40 hours a week. Everybody income has changed a lot. And we see that on our desk all the time. People have a couple of jobs or self-employed stuff. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. It's not the way it used to be. So some things, as you guys probably know, you can't document and you can't put on a loan application because they're not filed with the IRS, or maybe you haven't had that self-employed job long enough, or you haven't filed the right amount of taxes on it. I mean, there's so many different stories. So I feel like that we add non-occupying cosigners to loans more often than not lately, because
Mm.
they do need to fill that income gap that either isn't documented or just isn't quite there yet on whatever the situation may be. So that's always helpful. That has saved a lot of loans. We try to talk to people about a real life budget. First time home buyers, like Marissa mentioned, like that we have a lot of applications that come in and they put their desired payment as like something that is so low that, I mean, you couldn't even split an apartment with someone and pay that amount, right? Not unless get a mortgage. So sometimes it takes people connecting with the right realtor, getting out in the marketplace and physically seeing what is in front of them. Like if they can't live in this particular county because of the housing prices, then they just need to see what's right next door. And it's not that it's a bad place to be by any means, but some people have yeses and nos lined up in their head before they ever step foot in the housing market territory. So they have to get out there and really see what's available, and then sometimes come back to us and go, yeah, I thought that I wanted this price range because of the payment, but I know this fit my family. I have to be here. What does that look like? And some people, they have in their head that X amount of dollars on a mortgage is just way too high on a sales price because they don't know the math of it, right? So then when we sit down and go, well, actually going up $50,000 changes your payment by this much. And they're like, really, that's it? Like, that's not bad. So it's education. Like that's a hot word in our office. Marissa and I have always said, educate the client, show them a menu of what they can qualify for, and let them be the one that, chooses ultimately what they want to do.
I had a client earlier today that literally said they wanted a payment, no, her husband, right? And they're not together all the time. So the husband's like, I want a payment no more than $1,000 a month. And they're trying to build. And Margo and I have been doing a lot of land home packages. I said, okay, well, what do you think that it's going to take you to be able to find your land and your home? Because you always want to get some direction from them. Let them lead you to what they think that they are building in their mind, what they want. And she said $150,000. Well, of course, at this point, I can only anticipate taxes and insurance. And, when I did all of that, Abby, with their down payment, their payments were estimated around $1,280 or something like that. And she goes, no, my husband's going to be very strict with that $1,000, very strict. And I said, well, in his mind, when he discusses $1,000, is he thinking about the extra expenses of taxes and insurance? And she's like, I don't really know the answer to that question. And I said, well, I'm going to spin it backwards. I'm going to go backwards on you. And I said, if you were to finance $100,000, including taxes and insurance, now you're at about 980. I said, so understanding just educating them, right? And then she's going to go back to her husband now. And I've sent an email and detailed all of that stuff out. But once you educate them, then they can really comprehend matching up their monthly expenses and what they're willing to do to get what they need, to afford what they need.
Yeah, I love that. It's circling back to your initial points about communication being key.
Yeah.
It's not just your communication with the client, right? It's making sure that if there's somebody else involved in the deal, usually a partner or spouse, right, that they're communicating the same way, because that's not always the case. And I find that summarizing is so helpful in these
Yeah.
circumstances, whether you're asking another question or this is what I heard, right? And then you threw it back to, do you think that's what he's thinking about? Like, is that his understanding of what he's saying when he says $1,000? Like, just making sure that
Yeah.
everyone's all on the same page, because a lot of the times wires get crossed in the game of telephone for sure.
Yes.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, let's talk marketing. You guys, I have loved watching you over the years and the branding efforts that you go through. I love the pink photos that you switched to. You've done a ton of different video campaigns and all this kind of stuff that have been really cool over the years. How are you using your marketing to stay visible and attract new business and stay top of mind with agents and clients right now?
Go
Um,
ahead, Margo.
we we made a really great hire many years ago of a marketing team that is actually out of Sevierville, and we love them, and they're a huge part of our business now. Like, I mean, we happened upon them. It was a referral of a friend, and they're awesome, and they truly help us, right? Like, they bring Marissa and I out of our little four walls that we do tend to hibernate in all day long and work, and they make us, make the videos and get out of our shells. um just like, you're asking us to be on this call, like normally we'd just be working right through this to, this hour. But I mean, it's true, like they do help with a ton of social media. But I mean, I think that the posting videos, reels, like, being out there, being on social media, being on Google, like, you have to stay relevant. You have to be in front of people, because the majority of people are right here all day long with the cell phone, and that's where they're going to see you. Versus TV, like that. I don't think that the days of, commercials are as valuable anymore, right? Everybody's watching streaming platforms, and that's just not what we're paying our marketing dollars for. It's more of the social media, right? So I think that everything that you can do to show that you're a real person on those platforms is really important too. I think that the still shots, that the photographs are awesome, and they're definitely needed, but I think that you getting in front of the camera and talking about what you do puts the reality of like your persona, in front of people, and they know that, oh, like, this is actually a real person, and she works right down the street near my daughter's daycare, and I can call her and have a conversation. And that's what we want to get through to our clients and our realtor partners, is like we're here, like we're not in some other country answering the phone and putting loan numbers together for your client and sending it over on email. Like, you can walk in our office and let's hang out.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just been so cool to see you guys grow. Do you think, I know you outsource it. Um, do you any ideas? Well, hope, like, are you posting daily? Do they post weekly for you? How often are you recording? Like, is it a huge time suck for you guys to be able to do this, or is it manageable, or what? Tell me more.
I think it's very manageable because Margo and I are not having to post it. So you'll see, like, if you follow us on Facebook, you'll see Margo and I get on there and post some stuff from time to time, right? But it's mainly the company that we hired. But like, they have an arsenal full of stuff. And like Margo said, they'll pull us out one afternoon and it's like we're going to record 10 video clips in one afternoon. And then they just hold it in their little arsenal, right? And then they just kind of drip it out there when they want to drip it out there, right? So in those afternoons, sometimes Margaret and I are like, oh my God, we've got so much to do, right? But guys, you have to spend time to work on your business,
Yeah.
right? You can't always be in your business. You got to work on your business to be able to continue to propel it forward, right? So you just sometimes have to sacrifice that time because it's worth it. It really is worth it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'll share, like, I mean, I still have our account on my phone, so like we're in control of our, our social media, but like, I mean, I share constantly, like, our realtor referral partners, like, if they have listings, like, it's always going out on our page, just, but I think that's just a nice thing to do anyway, because it just reaches more people, and it's helping your referral partners. So those kind of things. And of course, we share community events, and I always share things, especially about Homes for Heroes, and there's anything happening in our community, in our backyard, and with the police. And then, I mean, I'm always like, oh, that's a cool story, let's get that out there. So, I mean, I think, again, it's about being relevant and showing that the people that live here in Knoxville and surrounding counties, like, we're here, like, we're not, we're literally right here in your backyard.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
It's so relatable, and it gets you more exposure when you're absolutely using video for sure too. All
Yeah.
right, a couple of quick questions to wrap up. Usually, when you have I don't want to call it, when you have a shifting or a changing market, you
mhm.
learn lessons fast, and you learn a lot of them as you're going through the shift over the last couple of years, not thinking all the way back to the beginning, but just recently. Any lessons learned that you have had?
Margo?
Um, lessons learned. I would say try try to expand your product knowledge. Like if that's what we're talking about is like just like our world here at work, like, you know, when doors close to lending products and to different changes in the market, then other doors open. And it's so easy for you to get stuck into your routine and choose to not learn that new loan product because it takes you an extra 15 minutes to try to find the guidelines on it. But those are things that you have to do to be adaptable to this ever-changing environment. Like you have to, figure out how to do a bank statement loan if that's what it means that it helps a self-employed borrower that doesn't claim enough on their tax returns, or have the right, teammates in place that do those products and you can refer your clients to those places. So, when a client calls into this office, like in theory, we don't ever want to say, I don't know, or I can't help. Even if we can't do it, we want to at least give them a resource that they can still, be successful. So broadening your horizon on people that on other people in the field that can help your clients if you can't, like I think that's important. Specializing in things. I think that like as the market turns and as there's maybe not as many houses on the market for your clients to buy, like become a specialist in a renovation loan. Those aren't easy and sometimes they're not fun, but do we have access to them? Yes. Can you learn them in less than a day? Of course you can. You just have to sit down and do it, right? So then you can offer your clients maybe a house that needs a lot of repairs that they could never have qualified for before, right? And just opening up their budget and their buying power to stuff that they didn't think they could qualify for because you took a little bit extra time and learned some new products.
Years ago, Margo and I were, somebody called our office and go, can you do a construction loan? No, you're going to have to call the bank, right? Like it was just like such an easy, just, and then Margo and I started doing it. And she's talking about learning new products, right? If you fast forward 2 or 3 years, now that's probably a third or better of our whole entire pipeline, right? So she's so spot on with the fact of don't be afraid to learn a new product because the market is changing and evolving and the needs are changing of these borrowers, right? So like, don't get stuck in the same mundane routine. Those products will always be there, right? But spice yourself up and do something different. Add something to your portfolio.
Love that. Don't get too comfortable with where you're at.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. All right, thinking way back to 2003 when you first started. I know it's changed, so don't like take me back to the 2003 market, but is there any piece of advice that you wish you would have gotten when you were first starting out in this industry that you could share?
I would say I think it's important to tell new people, whether it's realtors or mortgage people, like to be present in your community, right? Like I think that sometimes there's a fear of just putting yourself out there and going in those places. Marissa and I, we used to walk into real estate offices, just completely cold call with a box of donuts and talk about things that we really weren't sure probably what we were even saying, but it was just getting in front of people. Granted, back then, realtors maybe worked in the office more, right? You guys, I mean, everybody is just everywhere right now, which is so nice and so freeing for you guys. So that's a little bit harder to do. But I mean, I would say just don't be scared to take those steps to get out there. If there's groups that are meeting, if there's networking groups, like put yourself in front of people. Homes for Heroes has been an amazing platform. I mean, it allows you to get into places that you probably just don't feel comfortable just walking into normally because you have a reason to be there. Like I'm representing this organization and here's what this organization does for you as a group. And I mean, that's the easiest thing in the whole entire world to open up a conversation with because everyone is interested in Homes for Heroes. Everyone in some way either is a hero or knows one. Like it's incredibly rare that that's not the case. So, that organization, I mean, that's been a huge thing. So just get involved in your community. Don't be scared to reach out to your circle of friends. Some people, they don't want to put pressure on their friends to try to be a referral partner. And you don't have to do that. You can just make sure that everybody knows what you do and talk about it. What do you think, Marissa?
I think that not what I wish I would have been told, but what I think that I saw when I was very, very, very young is I found people that were more successful than than me and us,
Mm.
right? And I aspired to be as awesome as they were, right? What used to be so big to me back then seems so micro to me now because I can't even believe where we've become. Like sometimes I don't even process the numbers fully. You know what I'm saying? Because we just come in and we work.
Yeah.
But don't be discouraged, right? Don't give up because it's inconsistent in the beginning. Like you're gonna have a time where you miss checks, right? I remember those times. I so remember those times. And it was scary. And it's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I the best loan officer that I can be? Am I servicing my clients the way that I need to? But you don't ever stop, you don't ever give up, and you continue with your purpose, right? And if you do relentlessly, one day you won't have to count the number of deals that you have in your pipeline. You're just continuing to serve, and it just continues to flow, right? So find people that you think are high quality and learn from them and ask questions and lots of questions. Be a question asker and just absorb everything that you can.
Mm. I love that answer. And what a great way to kind of come to a little bit of a close. Is there anything that I missed asking that you guys wanted to be sure you shared? We covered a lot in the last hour. I've
If
got a
somebody
full
can
page
find a
of
crystal
notes.
ball, let us know.
I love that.
Thank you, Abby, so much for having us. It was nice to hang out with you. It's been way too long. The last time we saw you was in San Antonio. So
That's
Sad.
just before
yes.
COVID.
Yeah, it
2020.
was. It was that was it March or
Yeah.
yeah, it was craziness. So
Yes,
yeah.
the week before it all went down. So,
Mhm.
well, ladies, thank you so much for your time and just your energy and pouring into us all. Oh, it's been rejuvenating for me, and I'm not even in the industry anymore. So I'm sure everybody
Aw.
on this call has had, I see some love coming through in the comments and everything, but you've just been a wealth of inspiration and knowledge, and I so very much appreciate you guys spending our time and everybody else here too. Thank you so much for the gift of your time. We hope you found it as valuable as well. I hope to see you on next month's Real Talk. We've got another special guest or two, maybe. We shall see. But Margo and Marissa, you two are amazing. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Abby.
Abby.
Make
Bye,
it a great
guys.
week, y'all.
You
See
too.
ya.
You know that I feel